If you're an African creative, if you're an artist, a designer, a videographer, a photographer, a painter, a dancer, you have to understand first in which environment you're born. You're born in an environment where most people are struggling to get food to eat. And so when they see you doing things that they don't see how that will feed them or that will feed you, they'll think that you're wasting your time. However, as human beings, our creative nature is divine. It comes from God. And so the goal of being creative is not to make money. It's actually to enhance mankind, to inspire people, to bring them to a higher level of self and a higher level of understanding. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you are a creative and you're doing something very creative, you're doing some sort of art, some sort of visual arts, you're in photography, videography, or sculpturing, or arts and crafts, whatever it is, you have to understand that beyond the art and the creativity, there's a business. And so in order for you to be able to monetize your creativity, you must be able to understand the business of your creativity. So what's the industry in which your creativity is sold? Who is selling or buying these things that you're creating? And so one of the things that is very important for you to know is who is your customer, right? Who is that person who wake up in the morning to buy what you create or what you have created? And many times that customer is not the person that comes to your mind, easily, because most of the time you would think that I just need to create it and people will love it. Because I love it, others shall love it. That's not how it works. There are some things that you consume either on Netflix or on YouTube or on TV that other people don't like, right? So what makes you want to consume that? It's because there's a particular appeal of that particular story or that particular content, or the process that they've used to make that content. There's that appeal that makes you want to watch that video, that makes you want to listen to that song. So there's something about that artist or the way they did their art that makes you want to know more about it. So that's the first thing. You have to understand what is the intrinsic desire of my customer or my audience. What do they really need from what I'm offering them? What do they really want? What are the feelings that this music or this art is creating in them? What are the desires that they have? What are their unmet needs? What are their fears? And how does my art or my content or my creation, how does it appeal to that part of them? So that's very important to understand. Secondly, you need to understand who can afford what you're creating, right? Because first you understand what is their emotional appeal, what is their psychological appeal and their desire for what you're creating. But then they also have to have the money to be able to pay for what you've created. Because if you're creating a video, if you're creating a song, if you're creating a piece of art, you've invested in equipment, you've invested in buying a canvas, buying paint, hiring a camera, and then you've also invested in your own time, the time that you've put in creating that content. So when you cost that, you need to be able to sell that for more than what you spend to create it in order for you to make a profit. And so if you do not put a price on your work, then no one's gonna buy it. So you have to always consider that if you're the type of artist that is putting a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of energy, the type of people that you're trying to sell that to, they're not many, right? Because not many people have the money and the desire to buy creative work or to buy art, especially in the environment in which we live in. So I would advise you this. First of all, think of yourself as a business. You yourself as the artist, you are a business, and you need to have a business model of your own. The business model of your own means what? First, you need to know your customer. So who's this person that I'm creating art for? What do they like? What don't they like? What are they buying? Second, they need to have a budget for your art. And then third, you need to find a marketing strategy on how you're gonna create that desire in them to buy your art. And so that's when you think of yourself as a product. Does it mean that you need to get in the media? Maybe that's the way that you need to do. Does it mean that you need to create a lot of content so that you can be known? That's what you need to do. Does it mean that you need to go out and build upon your customer base, your networks, the people that you know, and then send to them and ask them to send to others? But you need to get the word out. You need to sell yourself, you need to sell your art so that these people can get to know that you're out there, They can get to know if they can afford, especially focus on people who can afford. It means they've already bought something similar to what you've done. They're already invested in something similar to what you've done. And then they get to know who you are and they say, okay, I'd like to buy from you. Once you start having them buy from you, then you want to have more of them. You need to organize an event for you to get, but you need to get known. So the first thing is get to know who's your customer. The second thing is identify, what they're buying and how much they're buying it for. And third, you need to get known. Put yourself out there, let the world know who you are, and then you'll be able to monetize yourself. So don't ever forget, you are a business.